off to the beach. This is Ao Nang in low season. If you haven't been to Ao Nang before, it's right on the beach. Today we're going to catch a long-tail boat. It's one of Krabi's best beaches, Ao Nang Beach in Railay. This is the beginning of the story of our trip to Australia. The story begins in Bangkok, where we went to get a visa for Orn and Ananda. You may have seen some of the videos I made in Bangkok recently, and they were on that trip. I'm not sure if any of you have been involved in the visa application process for getting a Thai person or two Thai people to Australia, but it's pretty complicated. This is how it goes. So these are the papers that we are submitting for the visa applications. So there's 2 copies of everything, one for my wife Orn there, and similarly one for my son Ananda there. They said put everything in duplicate. So first we got a photo of both of them, photo of Orn there, passport size. Then the application for a tourist visa form 1419. You can download all these from the Australian government websites. So then, because I've assisted them, we've got another form which is a 956 to say that I've assisted them. Then bank details from Orn's 2 bank accounts. I've got a copy of her passport with visa entry and exits from Thailand, copy of her Thai ID, copy of her house registration, the house she's registered to in Thailand. Then we got a translated copy of our wedding certificate. Then more information about the marriage certificate translated. Then we've got the birth certificate from Ananda's birth, copy of his passport as evidence of her reason to return to Thailand. Then we got her relatives' IDs, her mum's ID card, and also her mum's house registration, her grandma's ID card and house registration, grandfather's ID card, house registration. It's further evidence of her giving her reason to return to Thailand. We've got a rent lease, which is in her name. We've got an insurance policy for her, the card, and also receipts for its payment, because we've been doing that for a few years. It's evidence of her reason to return to Thailand. Then we've got a statement from her last employer, sort of a character reference and why she left. Then we've got another character reference from a previous employer, and then another character reference from a friend saying that she's good and that he's also Australian, lives in Thailand, and also says that she has reason to come back. Then there is a statutory declaration from me, which is an Australian legal form. I had to go to the Australian Embassy to get this witnessed. Basically saying, so it gives my details of my finances because I'm supporting Orn and Ananda while they're in Australia. So it's got my income, that I'm giving them evidence of my bank statements. What else? Details our relationship. It also says the reasons why we're leaving. It's got the reasons why we're going to Australia. It's got links to our Facebooks for photos if they want evidence of our relationship. They can find it there. Our itinerary and plans while we're in Australia. The reasons why Orn has reason to return to Australia. Reasons why Orn has reason to return to Thailand. There's about 4 paragraphs of that. That she's fully aware of the conditions of her visa and that she won't breach any of them. And then a big statement saying I'm going to be responsible for her, basically signing my life away if she absconds while she's in Australia. And that I have the means to support her financially and with accommodation. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, or 3.5 pages of a fair bit of detail in that. Then, as evidence of me being in Thailand, I got my passport, and then all the pages of my entries and exits from Thailand. Then also my work permit, copy of that. Then my Thai bank statement for the last 6 months. There's about 5 or 6 pages of that. My Australian bank account statement with evidence from the last 6 months of that. Then the fact that I got a Visa card as well was evidence of further access to funds. Then as evidence from when we got together, this is a magazine article when I had a motorbike accident that was published, and it's got a photo of Ao and another friend in that. And then more copies, because I've mentioned this in the statutory declaration form, our wedding certificate again. So this will be stapled with my stuff. Then Ananda's birth certificate. Then I got a letter from my dad as an official invitation for Ao and Ananda to come to Australia. Evidence of his local council rates to show that he actually does have a house that he can invite them to stay at. And then a medical certificate from his doctor saying that he's had a heart attack and he cannot travel because he's got a medical device now. Then another letter from a sick auntie who has cancer saying that she can't travel. She'd love to meet Ao and Ananda as well. Then another statutory declaration, again the sworn legal document from my mother, who's offering also to provide financial support in case what I have isn't enough. And then evidence of her, what have we got there, her rates from a local council for evidence of her house. And then her bank details there, and also a list of, or one of her phone bills with lists of contact with Ao and I. Then a letter from my brother of invitation saying that we can stay with him. Then I've got a booking confirmation for a hotel that we're going to stay at in Australia. Then as evidence of me having property in Australia, I've got my council rates and my last landlord property insurance policy there and the receipt. And then as further evidence that I do have a reason to return to Thailand, I've got a offer of employment for the next year ahead. So yeah, it's a pretty hefty pile of papers, and it's taken quite a bit of work to compile all this, but we don't want it to be rejected, so that's why I've made sure it's done properly. And then also got photos of evidence, a photo of Ao from when she was at work in March 2013. Photos of our wedding, all labelled so they know what everything is. Photos of us over the years that we've known each other. Photos of our friends, because it asks in there, in the visa application form, does she know anyone in Australia? So I'll put my friends that she's met, and also my family as members of her family because they're her in-laws. Yeah, so there's lots of photos of us over the last 3 or so years together in different places. And then as evidence of Ao having a reason to return to Thailand, there's also photos of our house, car, motorbike, fully furnished house. So that's it. Hopefully it's enough, because I'm not going to be happy if it's not. And as I said, all that is in duplicate as well for my son Ananda's application, so fingers crossed. So today we got Ao and Ananda going, and also Ao's cousin Johnny, busy taking selfies.
Hello.
So after 10 days we found out that the visa application was successful, and then it was time to book flights. If you do ever come to Ao Nang, definitely Railay is worth a visit. You get your tickets here, the end of Ao Nang Beach Road. There's a ticket booth down the other end as well. So today it seems the boats aren't leaving from here, probably because of the tide. They're going from the other end, so got a little bit of a walk down to the other end of Ao Nang Road along the beach. Could be worse, I guess. Sometimes Thailand has a funny way of messing with your plans, and it looks like we're not going to Railay. So it seemed near impossible to get there on the boat today. It is a public holiday, and the lady at the next ticket office couldn't tell us what time the boat would be running. Normally they run about every 5 to 10 minutes, but for some reason today it seems there's not many boats. So we decided to come to Noparatara Beach, the next beach along from Ao Nang. It's not all bad. This is a popular beach with the Thai locals. It's pretty shallow, but it's not a bad beach. And certainly suit our needs today. Could be worse, eh? A few days before we left, Dawn wanted to go to one of our local temples to get a blessing from the monks to ensure we had a safe trip. We went to the Tiger Cave Temple, which, as the name would suggest, is in a cave. You begin by bowing 3 times. Then I'll explain the purpose of the blessing, and then the blessing begins. Once again we bowed 3 times. Then the monks say some Buddhist chants, which we repeated while trying to keep control of a 19-month-old baby. Next we gave the monks the offering that we took them, that contains some medicine and other daily needs that they might have. One of the monks gave Ananda something to keep him occupied. Orn lit a candle for the ceremony. Monks aren't allowed to touch women, so you can see how he passed it to Orn without making any contact. And then the chanting began. While the monks are chanting, Orn poured some holy water into a little vase while I held her hand to keep contact with her. The monks then flicked holy water over us as part of the blessing. And once the chanting was done, Orn took the water out into the garden to pour it on a plant out there. Whenever we go to the temples, the monks are always very interested in Ananda. One of the monks called him over to give him a Buddhist blessing string, which he wrapped around Ananda's wrist.
In Thailand, 4 years.
He then gave Ananda another blessing. And when Orn returned, everything was done. The monk also gave Ananda a carton of milk. Then you bow on your way out and everything's done. On the day we left, we caught a cab to Phuket. We're flying out from Phuket airport. It's about 2 hours from where we live. And finally we're on the plane on the way to Australia. We're all pretty excited. This is what our takeoff from Phuket International Airport looks like. Less than a minute and a half after departure, Ananda was already asleep and Orn wasn't far behind him. The plane was fairly empty, so we could check out the views from other seats, and after that I decided to grab a nap as well. During the flight, Orn tried lasagna for the first ever time. She was quite impressed with it. Ananda slept pretty much the whole way. After about an hour in the air, we landed in Malaysia at Kuala Lumpur airport. We found one of the restaurants had some local specialities. Orn grabbed a Malaysian fishball noodle soup. And Ananda had a hakka fried rice. So today Orn's not eating anything unusual for her, having a bit of a picnic on the beach. Johnny and Orn went out just before to grab some stuff. This is what they came back with. They got some fried sausages and fried fish balls, and also some fried squid and fried prawns, which all came with their own dipping sauces. So the video from Rayleigh is going to have to wait for another day, but there'll be one coming from there soon. There'll also be a video coming tomorrow of our first few days in Australia when we actually landed, and there'll also be another Thailand video coming on Wednesday. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.